Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning everyone. Before we start our event for today, I would like to make a housekeeping announcement. First, we would like to ask all guests to mute your microphone throughout the program to avoid any interruption. We encourage all guests to switch on your camera in order to have a better program experience. Please record your attendance by click the link that will be provided in the chat soon. To allow yourself to enable for CTD and CPD points, you are required to complete the feedback form, which the link will be provided later at the end of today's event. For information, the CTD points is applicable to IIUM staff and the CPD points for medical practitioners, which is under Malaysian Medical Association, MMA, and for the pharmacists, which will be under Malaysian Pharmacy Society, NPS. During the Q&A session, we would like for all guests to use the raise hand button function available, and we'll call upon you to ask a question directly to our guests today. Without further ado, let's start our event. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Welcoming to Yang Berbahagia, Professor Dr. Ahmad Faris Ismail, Deputy Rector, Academic and Internationalization, International Islamic University, Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia, Professor Dr. Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli, Campus Director, IUM Kuantan Campus. Professor Dr. Samsul Draman, Deputy Director, Academic and Support Service, IIUM Kuantan Campus. Associate Professor Dr. Juliana Ahmad Jafri, Dean, Kuliah Pharmacy, IUM Kuantan. Respected IUM Board of Governors, members of University Management Committee, deans, directors, academics, and students of IUM, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, good morning, and Salam Malaysia Madani. Welcome to the IIUM Professorial Talk 2023 Kuantan Campus Edition, brought to you live through the Zoom and ITD IIUM Kuantan YouTube channel, organized by Academic Support Services, Office of Campus Director, IIUM Kuantan Campus. I'm Izzat Sufyan, Assistant Professor at the Kuliah Pharmacy, will be your host for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin today's event, let us sing the national anthem, Negaraku, and IIUM official song, Leading the Way.
Lighten the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam, revelation and reason. and knowledge, we, the Khalifa, we will fulfill the amanah. Together we make the world a better place. Forever expand the culture of Iqra. IUN is to realize the meaning of Rahmatan lil Alamin. Together we make the world a better place. Forever expand the culture of Iqra. IUN is to realize the meaning of mercy to all worlds, for all mankind.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the next agenda, to gain the blessing and grace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'd like to invite Ustad Muhammad Faris Muhammad Abdullah, Assistant Religious Officer, IIUM Kuantan Campus, to recite dua. Please welcome.
وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, dengan sifat-sifat keagungan-Mu dan kebesaran-Mu, pada pagi yang penuh keberkatan ini, bersempena dengan Professorial Talk, kami sekalian hamba-Mu, ya Allah, merafak dan penuh rendah diri agar Engkau curahkan nikmat yang berterusan kepada kami. Kurniakanlah petunjuk kepada kami dalam mencapai keredaan-Mu. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, tanamkanlah sifat-sifat terpuji kepada kami, agar budaya kerja berkualiti menjadi amalan kami, dan supaya kami sentiasa berusaha melakukan kebaikan dalam kerja seharian demi kemajuan organisasi kami dan agama serta negara. Engkau sematkanlah ke dalam diri kami, ya Allah, rasa tanggungjawab atas setiap tugas yang diamanahkan kepada kami untuk dilaksanakan. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqna min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al Allahumma fina wa la ma'ana wa la man yatba'una shaqiyan wa la matrudan wa la mahruma. اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا آخره وخير أعمالنا خواتمه وخير أيامنا يوم ألقاك فيه. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا للإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Jazakallah khairan kathira to Ustad Faris for dua recitation. Ladies and gentlemen, for information, IUN Professorial Talk is an academic platform given to professors at IIUM to share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom, not only with IIUM community, but also with the wider society. For information, IUM Professorial Talk aims to showcase the groundbreaking and exciting research and teaching conducted by our professors at IIUM. It also aims to celebrate professors' academic achievements with their families, mentors, colleagues, and the general public. Ladies and gentlemen, to continue with our agenda for today, here we would like to invite Professor Dr. Ahmad Farid Ismail, Deputy Rector, Academic and Internationalization, International Islamic University in Malaysia, to deliver an opening remark. Without further ado, please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Respected Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli, the Campus Director of IIUM Kuantan Campus. Associate Professor Dr. Juliana binti Muhammad Jafri, the Dean Kuliah of Pharmacy. Professor Dr. Samsul Draman, Deputy Director, Academic and Support Service. Professor Dr. Muhammad Haniki bin Nik Muhammad, the speaker for today's Professorial Lecture Talk. Esteemed Kuliah members, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters. First and foremost, we praise Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for allowing us to have this very important event, the Professorial Talk 2023 by Professor Dr. Muhammad Haniki Nik Muhammad. I would like to thank the Kuliah for providing me with this opportunity to participate and listen to Professor Dr. Muhammad Haniki Nik Muhammad's Professorial Talk entitled The Past, Present and Future of Tobacco Control in Malaysia. I am grateful for the chance to learn from Professor Haniki, a highly regarded expert in smoking cessation, who has dedicated his life to the pursuit of knowledge and demonstrated exceptional expertise and research skills. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Kuliah for organizing this very important and significant event. This platform will provide sharing of knowledge and experiences by our experts in the university, and at the same time providing important knowledge and guiding principles for the society in many contemporary issues. The timing of this talk is particularly relevant considering the ongoing legislative issues regarding nicotine control in Malaysia. The subject of nicotine in Malaysia is multifaceted and continuously evolving. In recent years, there has been a notable increase in the popularity of electronic nicotine delivery systems and alternative nicotine products, commonly known as vape or e-cigarettes. These products have raised concerns regarding potential health risks and the lack of regulation surrounding their use. According to the 2022 National Health and Morbidity Survey, the prevalence of e-cigarette and vape use among Malaysian teenagers aged 13 to 17 years has significantly risen from 9.8% in 2017 to 14.9% in 2022. Conversely, the smoking rate among teenagers has decreased, suggesting a shift from traditional cigarettes to vape. With the recent exemption of nicotine liquids and gels as controlled substances under the Poisons Act 1952, as of March 31st, 2023, the vaping issue among Malaysian teenagers will likely continue to escalate. There is an ongoing debate about whether nicotine-containing products can serve as effective harm reduction tools for individuals struggling to quit smoking traditional cigarettes. Additionally, concerns persist regarding the obvious and hidden health risks associated with these products, including addiction, lung problems, asthma, and cancer. This raises questions about whether these products should be completely banned. Today, we are very fortunate to have our prominent expert in tobacco control, Professor Dr. Muhammad Haniki Muhammad, with us to enlighten us on these pressing issues. We will gain valuable insights into his extensive research and learn about the challenges he has faced and the inspiring journey that led him to this significant stage. In conclusion, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our distinguished speaker for graciously accepting our invitation and sharing his expertise. I also extend my appreciation to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be present here today. I am confident that this professorial talk will expand our intellectual horizons and have a lasting impact on our collective pursuit of knowledge. I look forward for more professorial lectures and intellectual discourses in the future from the kuliah. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you to Professor Faris for the opening speech just now. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to ask everyone to focus on your screen as we will showcase you our official IUM Professorial Talk 2023 montage video. Please enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed with the next agenda, you may find today's IUM Professorial Talk program book available on your chat, both for those in Zoom and those on YouTube channel as well. So you may click the link and you may observe our programs book for today. Now, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Noni Shafinas Abdul Rahman, Head, Department of Pharmacy Practice, Kuliah of Pharmacy, IIUM, to present a short biography of our distinguished professor today. Without further ado, please welcome. I'm sorry, Tunani, we can't hear your voice.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Right, thank you very
Welcome.
much. Auzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you very much to our MC, Assistant Professor Dr. Izzat Fahimuddin. First of all, I would like to welcome and thank our honorable guests for joining this Professorial Talk 2023. The Honorable Professor Dr. Ahmad Faris bin Ismail, the Deputy Rector, Academic and Internationalization, International Islamic University Malaysia, the respected Professor Datuk Dr. Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli, the IIUM Kuantan Campus Director, IIUM Board of Governance members, IIUM University Management Committee, the respected Professor Dr. Samsul Draman, the Deputy Director, Academic and Support Service, Associate Professor Dr. Juliana binti Mat Jafri, the Dean of Kuliah of Pharmacy, Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki Nik Muhammad, the distinguished speaker, deans, deputy deans, directors, esteemed Kuliah members, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. I am here to introduce our honored speaker for today's Professorial Talk. Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki bin Muhammad was born 54 years ago in Kuching, Sarawak, to Haji Nik Muhammad bin Taib and Hajah Bibi Zaitun Sarifullah. He is happily married to Hajah Shuhaniza Samsul Khalil since 1999 and is blessed with 3 children, Haris, Hanafi and Hana, and at least 36 cats. His early childhood education began in Kelantan, where he attended primary school at Sekolah Rendah Kebangsaan Kota and later joined Sekolah Menengah Sultan Ismail from Form 1 until Form 3. He was then accepted to study at MRSM Berseri Perlis and later MRSM Kulim for Matriculation 1 before joining University Science Malaysia for Matriculation 2. He was offered to pursue pharmacy at the School of Pharmaceutical Sciences, University Science Malaysia in Penang, and obtained Bachelor's in Pharmacy with honours in 1993. He then accepted the Academic Staff Training Scheme under MARA and USM and secured an offer to study Doctor in Pharmacy with advanced standing at the University of Tennessee, United States of America. Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki then completed his postdoctoral fellowship at the same university before joining the School of Pharmacy USM in 1997. He served USM for 8 years, where he was promoted to associate professor in 2003 before joining the Kuliah of Pharmacy, International Islamic University Malaysia in 2005. Since joining IIUM, he has held various administrative posts and was appointed as a panel member for the Malaysian Qualifications Agency, MQA, since 2008 until now. Outside of IIUM, he has been entrusted as the Vice President of the Malaysian Pharmacist Society, committee member of Malaysian Pharmacist Society Pahang Area Committee, past principal of Malaysian Academy of Pharmacy, and past president of Malaysian Association for Adolescent Health. Back in 2011, Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki obtained a certificate in global tobacco control at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. This is where and when his role as a distinguished anti-smoking advocate began. In fact, before that, many years back, before 2011, he is currently the leader of the Smoke-Free Campus flagship and is the national coordinator for the Certified Smoking Cessation Service Provider Training Program under the MQA program. Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki has secured about 2 million Malaysian ringgit of grants as principal researcher and co-researcher at both national and international level. He was awarded a grant of 1.5 million Malaysian ringgit by the Malaysian Ministry of Health for a nationwide project entitled National E-Cigarette Survey, NECS 2016, Prevalence and Pattern of E-Cigarette and Vape Use Among Malaysian Adults. Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki has graduated more than 10 postgraduate students as the main and co-supervisor and has authored and co-authored over 100 research articles, reviews, and book chapters. He had also co-authored a book entitled Rahsia Berhenti Merokok. Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki is currently the chairman of the Clinical Practice Guidelines on Treatment of Tobacco Use Disorder. He is also the chairman of the Ministry of Health Technical Working Committee on Scientific Evidence for the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, as well as the Pharmacy Education Section Chair of the Federation of Asian Pharmaceutical Associations, FAPA. Acknowledging his significant and impactful contributions and involvement in both the academia and community, IIUM, the Garden of Knowledge and Virtue, proudly awarded Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki the professorship title in August 2021. As for today, I hope that Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki's great achievements and persistent fight against tobacco and vape use will inspire all of us to become Khalifah for Rahmatan lil Alamin. With that, I end my biography presentation of Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki Nik Muhammad with Wabillahi Taufiq wal Hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Professor Tunani for the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's move forward to our main agenda for today, the Professorial Talk by our distinguished professor. Here, we would like to invite Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Haniki Haji Nik Muhammad, Professor at Department of Pharmacy Practice, Kuliah of Pharmacy, IIUM, to deliver his talk entitled The Past, Present, and Future of Tobacco Control in Malaysia. Without further ado, Professor Dr. Haji Haniki, the Zoom floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala syafi'i anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wa uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. Thank you so much to my friend Dr. Izzat as the MC for today. Honorable Professor Dr. Ahmad Faris Ismail, Deputy Rector, Academic and Internationalization of IIUM. Respected big brother, Prof. Dato Dr. Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli, Director of Kuantan Campus, IIUM Board of Governance and IIUM Management Team, respected Professor Dr. Samsud Rahman, Deputy Director of Kuantan Campus, IIUM, Associate Professor Dr. Julian Ahmad Jafri, Dean, Kuliah of Pharmacy, Assistant Professor Dr. Tengku Karmila Kamil, Deputy Dean, Academic and Internationalization, Kuliah of Pharmacy. My boss, Associate Professor Dr. Noni Shafinas Abdul Rahman, Head of Pharmacy Practice Department, Kuliah of Pharmacy. My beloved colleagues and friends from IIUM and beyond, and respected ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning and thank you for joining my humble professorial talk entitled Tobacco Control in Malaysia, the Past, Present and Future. So allow me to start sharing my screen. Okay. I hope you can see the screen. Yes, Alhamdulillah. Okay. So I will bring you through tobacco control policy in Malaysia, tobacco production and consumption, and focus on the control of smoking product for public health, which is the newly approved act, I would say. So we're just waiting for the endorsement by the Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong. And lastly, we take a look at the possible future, the tobacco endgame. I'm greatly in debt to the Secretariat of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control at the Ministry of Health, especially Dr. Muhammad Khairul Nizam Abdul Rahman for sharing the slides so that whatever information that I share is already verified by the Ministry of Health. We can't move forward without having a glance of the past. So in the past, tobacco in Malaysia has been controlled under this Control of Tobacco Product Regulations, or better known as CTPR, in 2004, which was actually introduced under the Food Act. There was no standalone act to control tobacco until recently. So the idea was that because we want to expedite the control of tobacco product. So rather than having an act, it was thought at the time to have regulations under existing act. And I know you might say it's very weird to consider tobacco as food because we humans do not consume tobacco as food. They only maybe I think organisms that I know would consume tobacco would be caterpillars, maybe, for tobacco leaves. But that was the spirit of it. In order to expedite things, it was parked under the Food Act, mainly to regulate smoke-free areas, tobacco advertising, promotion and sponsorship, tobacco packaging, labeling, and etc. However, with the ratification of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, or better known as the FCTC, in 2005, the regulations or the CTPR needed amendments to strengthen the provisions, including introduction of pictorial health warnings in 2009, and then further enhancement in 2014, which include expansion of smoke-free areas to include both indoors and outdoor eating places. The ratification actually occurred on the 16th of September 2005, when it was earlier signed in September 2003. So Malaysia is a party to the WHO FCTC, which is the first public health treaty by the WHO. And the Ministry of Health acts as the Malaysian government secretariat to the WHO FCTC. So there were changes to the CTPR, taking into consideration the provisions or articles in the FCTC that has been signed. So there were changes to that, and there were introductions such as the National Strategic Plan on Tobacco Control,
from 2015 to 2020 to 2021 to 2030. So the policy was to create a smoke-free country. So Malaysia will become a smoke-free country one day, hopefully by 2040. And there were three main missions. The first one was to have all Malaysians born in 2009 onwards to not start smoking, and also empower the community to denormalize smoking. And the third mission was to expand more smoke-free areas or places to protect the public, which are mostly non-smokers. So the objective was to maintain a smoking prevalence among women aged 15 and above to less than 5%, and reduce overall smoking prevalence to less than 15% by 2025. And last but not least, to achieve the end game of tobacco by reducing smoking prevalence to less than 5% by 2040. Now, the second objective, which is to achieve 15% by 2025, is can be said unlikely, because we are already approaching 2024, and unless something drastic happens in our tobacco control, we will not be able to achieve 15% in another year or so. Given the fact that the tobacco control in Malaysia, previously under the CTPR, actually controls the majority of form of tobacco products available in the country, mainly the conventional cigarettes, which is also the main product of tobacco globally. But you may also have seen loose tobacco, people smoking pipes, BDs, or rolled cigarette, cigars. Some of more affluent people probably smoke this, which consists of a lot of tobacco leaves. And also snus and water pipes or shisha. Snus is basically tobacco in pouches. And newer products, which include heated tobacco products and flavored tobacco products such as plumes. And unfortunately, the control of tobacco product regulations did not cover electronic cigarettes, especially those which contain nicotine or vapes. So the electronic cigarettes, which came around 2007, which initially looked like cigarettes or the first generation, then they evolved to vape pens and mods and pods, and also jewel type, which can be carried everywhere and used by some people in forbidden areas where smoking is actually forbidden. Unfortunately, they are so creative. They also design in various forms and shapes, like toys and other types, even milk cartons and toy cars. And if you go to the places, there are so many. There are thousands of shapes and designs of electronic cigarette products, targeting children and young people. Okay, so in order to regulate electronic cigarettes, rather than keeping on amending the control of tobacco product regulations and not having a standalone act, the Control of Smoking Product for Public Health Bill was introduced. And just to share with all of you today that the process of approving an act is not easy. That's why previously the Control of Tobacco Product Regulation was parked under the Food Act. So because in order to approve an act, it needs to be tabled at the lower house, Dewan Rakyat. So yes, the first reading and what happened to the bill was that it was referred to the Parliamentary Select Committee. This one was a special Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, which scrutinized the bill, and then there were tabling of the report and also second reading where the members of the Dewan Rakyat then debate the bill. So with changes, it was referred to the back to the Parliamentary Select Committee for third reading or voting. And upon approval, after this third reading, then it will go to the Dewan Negara of Upper House, where it again will be debated, and it has been debated, and then it went for third reading, where voting is done and approved, and as I've said, it is then submitted to the Attorney General's Chamber Office to be copied and signed by the Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong, and then later the AG would inform MOH, where MOH would then draft an order to announce the date of the enforcement of the Act, which will be signed by the Minister of Health. Okay, so we at the stage now waiting for the approval to go to the AG chamber and also signed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. So original bill was known as Control of Tobacco Products and Smoking Bill 2002, was tabled by the former Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin. Then, as I've said, it was referred to the PSSC for refinement. There were a lot of debate and resistance from various lawmakers pertaining to the generational endgame, among other things. So the GEG provisions, or generational endgame, as people know, was aimed to prohibit individuals born from 2007 onwards from smoking or purchasing smoking products ever. So they are not allowed to buy and use any of the tobacco products. So it is en bloc of generation born 2007 onwards. But the bill was not tabled for the third reading before the dissolution of the 14th session of the Malaysian Parliament end of last year. And with the new government, on 31st March 2003, the Honourable Health Minister at the time issued an exemption of nicotine in liquids and gels of e-cigarettes or vapes from the Poisons Act 1952, which was against the advice of the Poisons Board. So for your information, all nicotine-containing preparations are controlled under the Poisons Act 1952, unless exemption is given. So for nicotine-containing products in Malaysia, tobacco products had been given exemption very early on. So that's why you don't need to go to the pharmacy or to the physician to get to buy tobacco products, primarily cigarettes. So the tobacco products such as cigarettes have been exempted for a long time from the Group C Poisons Act. The nicotine replacement therapy products, or NRTs, which also contain nicotine, obviously, were under Group C. Group C means that they need to be dispensed by healthcare professionals, but without prescription. So they don't need to be prescribed by physicians, but they need to be dispensed by pharmacists, licensed pharmacists, physicians, dentists, or veterinarians. These are the licensed people. But in October last year, the NRT products were removed from Group C poison to over-the-counter product, OTC. So they are now covered or regulated by Drugs and Cosmetics Act, but meaning that they're still regulated. However, on the 31st of March, the removal of nicotine in electronic cigarette was total. It was totally removed from the Poisons Act without having any regulations to control it. So this is called a lacuna in regulations or in legal terms. So in Malay, it's called kelompogan. So there was no regulation to control nicotine in electronic cigarettes after it was moved on 31st of March. The reason for this removal was to allow tax to be imposed on electronic cigarettes or vape, which followed a day after the removal of the exemption. So the Minister of Finance, also the Prime Minister, introduced the tax on nicotine in electronic cigarettes at a rate of 40 cents per ml beginning 1st April 2023. So there was a lot of pressure, particularly from health-related NGOs and the other stakeholders as well, because the flourishing of electronic cigarette business that went uncontrolled resulted in many negative consequences. So finally, the then Health Minister recommended the Control of Smoking Products for Public Health 2023 bill to the Parliamentary Special Select Committee to scrutinize the bill in Dewan Rakyat on 12th of June. Okay, then the revised Control of Smoking Products for Public Health 2023 bill actually was presented but omitted the GEG provisions. Okay, and it was read in the Dewan Rakyat on 28th November 2023. It was debated fiercely, I would say, and then passed finally on the 30th November through a majority voice vote. So this is a system whereby the speaker would ask those in favor, and then those who are against, very little or no noise. So it was passed through voice vote. So if you look in the media, this is the timeline for the tobacco control bill. Yeah, so known by many names. So the latest name has changed a bit. So it was passed. So it went to Dewan Negara. So as I mentioned, the Dewan Negara has also been passed. So we now wait for the official announcement. Okay, in the new bill, there are special provisions on definitions of tobacco products to cover any processed tobacco or products that contain tobacco designed for human consumption. And there's also under definition of smoking substance to include any substance or combination of substances. This is used for smoking, including nicotine, propylene glycol or PG, glycerol, glycerin, triethylene glycol, used for electronic cigarettes. But there's also one definition for substitute tobacco product, which means any product or processed product other than tobacco product which is capable of being smoked, whether with or without smoking substance, because there had been products in the market that use tea leaves or any leaves then to be used in the form of smoking. So this is called substitute tobacco product. So the new bill would also then cover registration, advertisement, packaging, sale and purchase, and usage, including smoking, chewing, and etc., and maintain the prohibition for orang belum dewasa or minors, those who are below 18 years. So if you look at the old versus new bill, then you can see that the old bill, because the exemption was done on 31st of March 2023, the Control of Tobacco Products Regulation had no regulation on smoking substance with or without nicotine and substitute tobacco products. But the new bill would cover everything, whether it's tobacco products, smoking substance, or substitute tobacco product, from the sales, advertising, promotion, sponsorship, packaging, labeling, and also sales to minors. So previously, we looked at the tobacco control policy in Malaysia, and then we published, as mentioned, the translating evidence toward tobacco control policy. So I'm grateful to my colleagues, of course, my teachers, especially Professor Dr. Ahmad Awang and his wife, Professor Dr. Hajah Maizura, and many other colleagues listed here who continuously work in tobacco control toward better outcomes in Malaysia. So there are too many names to mention, but you can see in this slide. So we work with them closely because some of them, for example, they have interest in prevalence studies or monitoring of tobacco use. And monitoring is actually the first strategy under the WHO FCTC that I mentioned earlier on. There are many articles in the WHO FCTC, but we can summarize it into 6 strategies called M-Power. So M, the first one is to monitor. Then you will see P for protecting or non-smokers from exposure to secondhand smoke and also secondhand vape and whatnot. So O is offering help to quit smoking and vaping. W is warning people about the harms and dangers of tobacco products. E is to enforce ban on tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship. And also you have the last one is R, which is to raise tax towards reducing consumption. So these 6 strategies, I'm going to go through them and also include, you will see the past, the present, and later the future for these types of strategies. So Malaysia, of course, had been monitoring the prevalence of smokers among the adults and also adolescents. There are also evaluation study. So many of you may have heard National Health Mobility Survey, Global Youth Tobacco Survey, Global Adult Tobacco Survey, Global School Health Survey, Tobacco and E-Cigarette Survey among Malaysian adolescents, or TECMA, and the one that was mentioned earlier, the one that our team was involved in from the grant given by the Ministry of Health, was the National E-Cigarette Survey. So that happened after we had a phenomenon of e-cigarettes explosion in Malaysia around the year 2013-2014. So in 2016, finally, we did the first national survey on e-cigarettes. Prior to that, all the surveys had been on tobacco products, mainly cigarettes. There were also international tobacco control in Malaysia. I believe the main person was Professor Hajjah Dr. Maizura Omar, previously at USM. So her team then did the evaluation study, which is also shared globally. Okay, so most of these studies, although they are nationally done, they are reported to the international body like CDC, WHO, and other stakeholders, so that prevalence among countries can be compared. So we can see later that the progression, in terms of prevalence in Malaysia, unfortunately among adults for smoking has not been very encouraging, in the sense of the prevalence has not gone down significantly over 10 years or so. So we look forward to the future in terms of the Global Adult Tobacco Survey and the 6th National Health and Mobility Survey carried out this year, and then probably going to be announced soon, hopefully next year. Okay. So the Global Adult Tobacco Survey, as I mentioned, was honored to be one of the contributors of the survey, and the National Electronic Cigarette Survey. And again, I was fortunate that to have such a strong team at IIUM, and also collaborations from various universities like in USM, UITM, UTM, UNIMAS, UMS, because and also USM in Kelantan and Penang. So we had this collaboration because of the sampling strategy, whereby we had to cover north, south, east, west, and each state of the Sabah and Sarawak. So for the first national e-cigarette study, we actually found quite a high prevalence of electronic cigarette current users at the time. There were at least 600,000 users of e-cigarettes with a prevalence of 3.2%. Okay. And some of them were smoking and vaping, or we call them dual users. So they were smoking cigarettes and also vaping. And that was about 2.3% or 450,000. Some of them tried, 11.9% or 2.3 million, but they didn't become daily users. So if you are interested in this study, which has been cited a lot because it was the first national electronic cigarette survey, so you can see even at that time, there were a lot of e-cigarettes using flavors, particularly fruity flavors. And this actually gives the perception that it is safe or safer than cigarettes, given the smell is nice, and they were told that the vehicles used or the liquids used were natural, i.e. they were vegetable glycerin and propylene glycol. However, there were also people who believed that the products contain nicotine and is still dangerous or harmful. Okay, about 54.6% then had this thought a lot about the dangers of e-cigarettes. So we saw even back then, social media played a very important role in spreading the use of e-cigarettes in Malaysia, in the community, okay? And of course, with the use of e-cigarettes, there were also non-users who were exposed to the second-hand aerosols or vapor. Okay, so NECS then, of course, very grateful to the names listed here, and behind the scenes, there were many names, as you can see, which resulted in many publications other than the NECS reports as well. And we had one PhD student of mine, which I supervised, Azizur Rahman, who's now, I believe, at a private university in Malaysia, who looked at nicotine as amount in electronic cigarettes and e-liquids as part of his PhD study. Working with Syed Mahmood, they analyzed the samples and determined the level of nicotine in each of the liquid that was obtained. Okay, so to compare the NECS among adults, there was the TECMA, or tobacco electronic cigarette use among Malaysian adolescents, as I mentioned, which found about 9.1 or 300,000 current users of e-cigarettes among adolescents at the time, or about half of the current users of adults. A smaller study involving, I believe, 6 sites done by Prof. Wee and colleagues, and they found there were more teenagers or young people vaping than smoking at the time in 2018. And when the National Health Mobility Survey 2019 came out, it was not surprising then, because we didn't have any regulations on e-cigarettes. So the estimated use of prevalence of e-cigarette was increased, remember, from 600,000 in 2016 to about 1.1 million vapors in 2019. Okay, so a huge jump in prevalence of vapors or e-cigarettes users in Malaysia. Okay, because there was no regulation. So and this also is seen more alarmingly among the adolescents. When the new study, the most recent study in 2022 came out, we found a huge or significant increase of prevalence of e-cigarette or vape use among adolescents from 9.8% in 2017 to 14.9% in 2022. And it has been shown that there were 23.3% of current e-cigarette or vape users among men or male or boys, and 6.2% among girls or females. And on the flip side, we have seen by the Adolescent Health Survey 2022 a reduction in the prevalence of conventional cigarettes. So they are switching. Yeah, they no longer prefer to smoke cigarettes, but they vape. So the reduction now from 2017 and 2022, you can see that this one earlier, 2020, 2012, I believe. So reduced, it was increased 2017, 30.8, but with e-cigarettes use, there was a significant drop in smoking prevalence among the adolescents. Yeah, so now it's 10.8% versus 1.7%. Okay, most of them, despite being adolescents, can easily buy the e-cigarettes with nicotine from shops, vape shops, and also friends, almost similar distribution. Okay, so this is what I mentioned earlier. When we look at the trend of smoking among youth, we can see that there's a decline in the prevalence of smoking between boys and girls. Okay, although there was a spike in 2017 among girls in terms of smoking, but as you have seen shown here, the 2022 prevalence of cigarette has gone down among adolescents. So the shift now is to electronic cigarettes. Okay. What I mentioned earlier regarding adult smoking, that has not shown a significant reduction in prevalence. Yeah. This has been validated by looking at the National Health Mobility Survey data when we have 21.3 in 2019, 22.8 in 2015, and 23.1. Slight reduction, okay, in terms of overall prevalence. It remains high. More than 20% is considered high because this is about 5 million smokers in Malaysia in 2019. And then majority of the smokers are among males, adult men, and low among adult women. Okay, but remember the prevalence of smoking, especially vaping, among adolescents is definitely rising. So they will contribute to the overall prevalence of e-cigarettes, definitely. But there are studies showing that some of these vapors or e-cigarette smokers may transfer to conventional cigarette smoking, or they keep using both. Once they try e-cigarettes, it becomes a gateway to conventional cigarette smoking. And once they try conventional cigarettes, they may drop e-cigarettes or they may smoke both. So they become dual users. Okay, so that's about monitoring. So we hope to see what the data will bring for the national surveys. Okay, and the next under Empower strategy is protect. Okay, I mentioned that this strategy is to protect non-smokers, especially from exposure to tobacco smoke. And now we also have to protect non-vapers from exposure to aerosols, or vapor from e-cigarettes. Okay, so Malaysia we have 100% smoke-free or no smoking area in majority of the places, but we still have areas of improvement. For example, smoking is allowed in bars and pubs, okay? And airports, there's still smoking room or smoking areas provided at airports because these are under the jurisdiction of the Minister of Health. They can allow places gazetted as smoke-free areas to have smoking areas. So the power of the minister, not just the power of dreams, but we also have the power of the minister. But so far, on the good side, we have at least 23 places gazetted as no smoking areas. Okay, so we know that the universities, the schools, hospitals, and eating places, especially 3 meters within the area of wherever food and drinks are served, smoking is not allowed. But we see people flaunting the regulations all the time. Yeah. Okay. There's also initiative to expand the protection to a whole area, a city even. So under Article 8 of the WHO FCTC, Malaysia has taken the good initiative to start with smoke-free Melaka, or we call it Bebas Melaka Bebas Asap Rokok, MBAR. Then Johor, then Penang, then other states are in progress. Pahang, I think they started with smoke-free Cameron Highlands, but I don't know to what extent that is actually viable or expanding to other areas. So inshallah, maybe in the future, we can work towards having Pahang Bebas Asap Rokok. Yeah. There are also community-based projects, and some of the initiatives include My House, My Home, where they declare the homes as smoke-free. There are also areas including universities that have policies of a tobacco-free campus, and this one includes IIUM, because there are also guidelines from various bodies that help us to come out with the IIUM tobacco-free campus policy. I thank my colleagues, Dr. Bala, Madam Sulastri, and many others at USM, because when I was at USM, I know we work and they work even harder to establish a smoke-free campus policy. Mind you, a smoke-free campus policy doesn't just mean people cannot smoke anywhere on campus, but it also covers any interactions with representatives from the tobacco industry, including vape industry, because they would come in and then offer the university, for example, to conduct research that would have a slant towards tobacco plants, for example. They say, oh, let's use tobacco plants for vaccines, or they would say, let's do some research that would show the benefits of electronic cigarettes on so and so and so forth. So having a tobacco-free campus policy, I believe when we work on it with Office of Legal Advisor, and you can see the stakeholders here, and we launched it. So I was very, very thankful for the support from the university, from Ola, of course, the previous campus director, Prof. Kamrul Zaman, and also the legal advisor, Yang Mulia Raja Badrul. And of course, it would not happen if not for the support of our rector, who is a staunch, known tobacco control advocate. So many things are made easy, even when I requested to put up signages, because at the time there was no signage for people to see as they enter IUM that it is actually an area that has been gazetted as a smoke-free area, but we added on no vaping as well. So I believe even our suspect has a similar signboard. So people now, when supposedly when they want to smoke, they have to go out of the area. But there are always challenges. So the how do I say, the people who support versus people who are against. So the people who are against are mostly having vested interest in tobacco industry. They can be front groups, so they created smoke screens, so they represented the industry in one way or another, and they even make it a court case to challenge whenever there are provisions that introduced by the Ministry of Health. And as you know, the Health Minister, Honorable Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli, introduced the ban of smoking 3 meters away from any public areas, places where food and drinks are served. So this was challenged by associations, for example, the coffee shop association. So they said, oh, this would reduce their income, as if their main product is cigarettes, you know. But that's a smoke screen, of course. So they challenged, and of course they lost, because they were pursuing this on the pretext that, oh, you are infringing the right of smokers. They're supposed to be allowed to smoke anywhere. So why is there a ban on smokers to eat, drink, and smoke? You know, but we know that their case was then considered a lost case, because they lost, because it is not unconstitutional to protect the health of others. There are certain rights of people, but there's no given rights, absolute rights to harm other people, because we know the dangers of secondhand smoke, the diseases that have been associated with secondhand smoke. For example, you can still get cancers, cardiovascular diseases, respiratory problems, and not from being exposed to other people smoke. Yeah. And similarly, now studies are going for secondhand vapor from electronic cigarettes. So they appealed and again lost. So the provisions remain intact. There's still ban of smoking at eating places, or at least 3 meters away from where food and drinks are served. So, but when you go and see, in reality, you're going to be able to see people smoking, and actually you can do your part, we can do our part, we can then report this using the number provided to the Ministry of Health specifically for this purpose, that it is to lodge a complaint against smoking in forbidden areas, at eating places. So the more we complain, the more that these places will become hotspots, and then enforcement officers can go and do their job. They can also compound the owners, and as well as those who flaunt the law. Okay. So we have done N, we have done P, now is O. So O is offer help to quit. This is my main area of interest, because it deals with smoking cessation. So under the Ministry of Health, they have introduced what we call M-Quit program, Malaysia Quit Smoking. Before the implementation of M-Quit, smoking cessation services mostly offered or made available at government facilities, health clinics, and hospitals. Okay. Then, for example, when I was in USM around the year 2000, we established the first multidisciplinary and dedicated quit smoking clinic. So for this, I was thankful to my colleague at the time, Prof. Dr. Haji Muhammad Izhar Muhammad Ibrahim, who was in charge of the Healthy Campus or Campus Sejahtera initiative. So one of the programs that he allowed or approved was the establishment of the quit smoking clinic on campus to offer services to staff, students, and their relatives or dependents to quit smoking. So then when the Ministry of Health started the MQuit program, okay, so they roped in other stakeholders, and I came in as a representative at the time of being the principal of the Malaysian Academy of Pharmacy, because under the Malaysian Academy of Pharmacy, we run the program called Certified Smoking Cessation Service Provider, or CSCSP for short. Okay, so then the whole idea of this public and private partnership was to increase the availability of smoking cessation services throughout Malaysia. So now it's not just focusing on services at the government facilities, but also in the private. So that MQuit program expanded from phase 1 to phase 2 with more strategic partners to include workplaces, you know, and now at phase 3, at least with 13 strategic partners, which includes online provision. So like telehealth. So even colleagues like Razor's Pharmacy, Mr. Munavir and team also on board to provide such services. Okay, we were also involved in the sense that we had a PhD student supervised by Prof. Dr. Haji Rahmat Awang, for example. We had Dr. Faiza Safina. So she did her study on a quit line, and then a quit line system that that incorporates web-assisted tobacco intervention. So many things. So in the past, we provide services at various places, including community pharmacies, actual patient here. As you can see, this is an actual student in pharmacy who then observed the counseling session that involves both behavior and pharmacotherapy. I went all over Malaysia conducting physical workshops, courses, and you can see participants having role play done, and you know, it can be a mass class lecture, big hall, and then we assess them either individually or in groups. And this picture at the back there, if you can squint your eyes, you will see two people who were involved with me at the time. And this is Dr. Haji Zariha Zain, and this is Dr. Haji Salahuddin Abu Bakar. So Dr. Zariha Zain was in charge of the tobacco control for the Ministry of Health at the time. So she was very supportive, and she was involved also in the training. And Dr. Haji Muhammad Salahuddin was in charge of Wilayah Persekutuan KL and Putrajaya, okay, for the Department of Health. So these two were like colleagues, but also Sifu at the same time, because they had more training through the Ministry of Health program. So I came in and also became a trainer to certify healthcare professionals. Yeah. So we started by developing a module. We identified the stakeholders, and we delivered the program. Can be 1 day, can be 2 days, but or 3 days, mostly 2 days. Okay. So our experience from the Certified Smoking Cessation Service Provider program that was launched both in physical format and also online later was to enhance knowledge and skills of pharmacists and other healthcare professionals to support the National Tobacco Control Program. Okay, so even now you can see this module available at the Malaysian Academy of Pharmacy website. So when you click smoking cessation, you will be brought to this page, and you can see me as the national coordinator, chief coordinator of the CSCSP program under MAP. So we were very honored that this program had been recognized by the Ministry of Health as one of the pathways to certify health professionals for the MQuit service under the JomQuit program. So it also translates to publications, whereby when we started training them, we want to know whether they are counseling or providing it to the Malaysian population. Okay, it's now moved from national to international. I went to conduct training to various health professionals in various countries. This one is in Middle East. We also have online programs on top of the physical. So I'm very grateful to my partner in crime. So I have Professor Dr. Wee here because she's the tobacco treatment specialist focusing on behavior. And I would be focusing on the pharmacotherapy, being a clinical pharmacist. We also offer face-to-face and conduct it even at IUM. So I'm grateful to the team at Kuliah of Pharmacy, especially, but also IM Kuantan because we work under the flagship of the Smoke-Free Sejahtera Community Campus flagship, and we do training and certification for both local and international healthcare providers. Okay, and previously when we had the quit smoking clinic on campus, we also had attachments of visits from students. You can see here pharmacist Madam Wan Zuhaira briefing the students who came for the attachment or visit. And we also go to various places. Here is, I believe, Yayasan Pahang. You can see Prof. Dr. Aznan here. And I think you can see Datin Dr. Faiza in the background, counseling smokers. Other than face-to-face, it's also delivered online. You can see here Prof. Dr. Aznan Aris giving a talk. Okay. Of course, we celebrate our team. Some of them still here. Then you can see Dr. Muhammad, Datin. You can see here Madam Siti Halimah, Dr. Zurayani from KOD, Dr. Iliani, pharmacist Adiba, Sister Fitra from COP, and of course many others. I'm sorry if I miss your names. Dr. Saiful Ehsan, yes. Okay, when we also have our patients whom we celebrated upon their ability to quit for more than 6 months, and so we thank to the Kuantan Sejahtera director as well, and the previous dean for gracing the ceremony. So these are some of the teams. So I mentioned a few names. Dr. Hanida also here, Dr. Norni also. This one is our staff nurse, Mariati, who was very crucial, the backbone of the quit smoking clinic. She retired already from IUM. Siti Halimah, Siti Halimah also another backbone, so also retired, but some of them who are still here, we still continue providing smoking cessation services at various places. We also was approved, we approved to conduct smoking cessation service provider workshop under the Ministry of Higher Education professional certification of KTP PACE. We got Malaysian 50,000 for this purpose. So we hope then to continue this and certify students from other kuliahs as well. So you can see here we involve, here we can see Dr. Faiz, yeah, Tahir from secretary. So he conducted motivational interviewing. So we also have pharmacists from Ministry of Health. Here you can see Puan Toh, who came, and of course, one of the assessors for OSCE when we because that's how we assess them. And you can see here Dr. May from Kuliah Pharmacy. So they got training, practical skills on top of the knowledge. Okay, so our clinic, when we conducted it, of course, we have to base it on the guidelines or treatment of tobacco use disorder or clinical practice guidelines, so that we provide evidence base. Even this real patient, real clinic, and you can see at the time I had a pharmacist from a private clinic who came in for attachment to see how it's done. So as I mentioned, we were identified and certified also by the Ministry of Health as one of the accredited venues to deliver smoking cessation services under the MQuIC services. Okay, so this is the powerhouse, another powerhouse, Dr. Ariana Hassan at the Ministry of Health. Previously, she's in charge of the FCTC. She has been promoted to NCD unit of the MOH. So some of us being lecturers, they will look into research and publication. So Dr. Muhammad Saiful Ehsan very actively looking into the clinical practice guidelines, the use, and knowledge, attitude, and practice. So as I've said, we also welcome students for attachment, and we also have a multidisciplinary team. Here is Dr. Anita from Kuliah of Nursing performing the breath analyzer for CO detection in one of our patients. So beyond smoking cessation, we understand that there are many diseases, more than 20 diseases affiliated or associated to smoking. And depending on the interest of the postgraduate students or requests from various stakeholders, we then collaborated. And for example, we had a very hardworking PhD student at the time, Dr. Ahmad Awaisu from Nigeria, and he was interested in looking at the impact of training TB DOTS providers with smoking cessation intervention on the TB itself, on the outcome of TB and smoking cessation. So he got many publications and awards for this as well. And because, as I said, my focus is on the pharmacological intervention, so we work with other experts, and you can see some of the names here. And of course, we have a very prominent person. We have a Sister Swinder who actually won many awards for her quit smoking clinic in Tanglin when she was working in KL. So we also had opportunity to work with her in research, and also other lecturers and staff of the Ministry of Health. For example, we have Professor Dr. Karen Chan, so at UKM, so many people. So you can see the expansion of network when you have focused area. So in tobacco control, but people have different niche area in tobacco control, but you can still work with them and then come out with publication that has impact on policy and also practice. For example, here I mentioned about Dr. Azizur Rahman, who published on the first Fagerstrong test for nicotine-dependent scale among electronic cigarettes users. So we continue to educate, to help people quit. Now, beyond conventional cigarette, we have vapors that we have to look into. So as mentioned, I was lucky to been able to write and publish in various books and guidelines, manuals, and whatnot. So that helped to boost the delivery of or offering of quit smoking in Malaysia, hopefully. So moving quickly to W now, MPOW, which is warning. So upon ratification, we move to better warning system. For example, introduction of the bacterial health warning. This was actually done for the first time under commission of the Ministry of Health by none other than Associate Professor Dr. Noni Shafinas. Her PhD was on pictorial warning. Okay, so imagine pahala when those pictures were studied and put on cigarette packs, okay, to have better messages to smokers and non-smokers, okay. So you can see some of this picture were put on the first set of cigarette packs were studied by Dr. Noni. So more and more pictures came about with bigger sizes. And for the future, what we want to see is that some countries have implemented what we call plain packaging, whereby there will be no more of this glittering color, fluorescent, various designs. So it will be just one color, olive, dark olive, and then with text warning, editorial warning, and just the brand name without any special markings. Yeah, okay, that will be in the future. So there are also programs to continue to educate, communicate, training, and increase public awareness by both public and public and private. So we continue to do this through webinars, through seminars, through the media, okay, to continue because there are people who like to focus, like we want the effect of smoking and vaping on, for example, fertility. So I was approached by fertility expert so to talk about what are the effects of smoking and vaping on the sperms, the ovum, and so on and so forth. So on family health, yeah. So the and use opportunities, for example, using Ramadan, because we know many Muslim smokers try to quit during Ramadan, or at least they reduce during the daytime. Okay, so we go online, we go live, we go to wherever we are invited, Forum Perdana, Halwa Islam Studio, wherever they want us to warn people and help people or motivate people to quit, we will go. Okay, we also do competition for in celebration of the World No Tobacco Day, which falls on every 31st of May. So we want people to be aware, even during pandemic COVID-19, we know people who smoke would have more complications from COVID-19 infection. Some studies even showed that there's increased mortality. Yeah, so we continuously warn people and use opportunistic kind of approaches. Yeah, so we also want to make people aware regarding death and diseases. Yeah, related to vaping or smoking. People know, but vaping, many people do not know that it can cause, for example, EVALI and also many other problems. So I wear many kopiah or many hats, and one of them is also to through the Academic Professor Malaysia, and we conducted the GEG discourse, because GEG came about as part, as I mentioned, part of the Tobacco Control Bill 2022 that was brought by the previous Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin, but was dropped later. But anyway, we wanted people to know about the GEG so that they can support it. Okay, and we also had to fight misinformations or disinformation, because there are people out there, even health professionals, saying rather than cigarette smoking, you need to switch to vaping. Yeah, there are some evidence supporting the use of electronic cigarettes for smoking cessation, but it's not first line, definitely. We still need to have a better study design, longer study design, and to regulate the content, definitely, and so on and so forth. And we also wanted people to know that GEG does not infringe on human rights. Even health expert, also a member of our flagship, Associate Professor Dr. Khairi Azmin Mokhtar. Okay, so he also actively write in the media and we go to the media especially when there are issues, they will actually approach us. They will send us questions that want us to reply immediately. So we have to be very quick. We have to be very evidence-based, and we have to get the message out there clearly. So I learned quickly. Thank you to at the time we have the National Poison Center director, who's now our rector, who included me in the training very early on media, on research related to tobacco, particularly working with SIATKA and also other stakeholders. So we work with other NGOs, for example, here, Dr. Murali, Associate Professor Dr. Murali, who's the director of the National Cancer Society Malaysia, and we highlight and warn people, and also basically get them to be more informed regarding tobacco control in Malaysia. Whenever I write something in my social media, it was picked up by certain bodies. For example, even when I wrote something in my Facebook saying that I was surprised to hear when the Honorable Prime Minister answered a question regarding the e-cigarette issue. So you can see here, they picked it up, and then make it sensationalized. But in a good way, people are now aware that there are countries that have there are almost 40 countries that have banned e-cigarettes outright. We don't have to look far. We just have to look up and down. So we see Thailand up north and Singapore down south, okay, that have banned e-cigarettes. So we work with international experts. For example, people are saying, what about the harms of nicotine? Is it so iniquitous? Is it so innocent that when the main ingredients that we should worry about would be tars and other carcinogens, and nicotine is just nicotine, but the truth is not just that. Nicotine is very highly addictive. It's a psychoactive chemical. It is very, very dangerous, especially to developing brains of the adolescents and youth when delivered in a rapid fashion and in high concentration, especially from tobacco products, including electronic cigarettes. Then, as I've said, we know a lot more information regarding secondhand smoke. So there are experts like Professor Dr. Renee Bitun here from Australia. She looks into even secondhand aerosols. Okay, and we got our very own rector, who's a known tobacco control advocate and activist. So we managed to highlight the issue, for example, of the previous bill and the GEG, and then did media press or media statement afterwards. Okay, so we also, as I mentioned, highlighted in every opportunity of cases when nicotine is not regulated upon removal from the Poisons Act. So any amount of nicotine can be sold to anyone, yeah? So without any regulation. So it was not surprising that even a 2-year-old child was admitted due to nicotine poisoning. And they, according to the National Poison Center, there were many cases of nicotine poisoning related to electronic cigarettes in Malaysia. So after being interviewed by radio station, they did what we call this podcast, and also they produce it into small bits of information that they continuously promote. Okay, and I'm happy to note that more and more people, yeah, especially inside IUM and also beyond, of course, but members of the flagship also coming out talking about tobacco control, focusing on here Associate Professor Dr. Zurani from Kuliah of Dentistry on vape, yeah, and we have Professor Dr. Nurul Hernani. She works intensively with the community. So she also then embedded GEG and quit smoking, yeah, into her program. So I'm very happy for that. And of course, I'm very happy and honored that IUM allowed us and recognized this flagship during the Takrim 2020, and we have Professor Dr. Nofarida at the time, and also Kuliah of Pharmacy continuously supporting. So I'm thankful to the deans, previous dean, current deans, everybody at IUM, Kuliah of Pharmacy especially, and Kuantan overall, all the members from various kuliah for supporting this flagship that has now in the third phase. Yeah. So this we do exhibitions. We members, for example, here you see members from Kuliah of Medicine, Dr. Soraya and her husband, Mr. Ahmad Faizal. They're active in the school-based program where they go to promote. Okay, and as I mentioned, we continuously promote this, and we try to, as I am the head of the jawatan kuasa Ketua Pasukan Bertindak Berhenti Merokok for the health cluster of the academy. And we got involved with many campaigns. This one was very extensive under different organizations. Yeah. So we talk about the harm reduction concept as a conspiracy by tobacco industry, because they're saying on one hand, reduce or stop smoking, but increase or switch to vaping. Okay, so we keep on talking. I know I keep on talking all the time because this is one of my jihad. I'm too scared to go to Palestine, to Gaza, so I do my jihad through by hand, by mouth, and at least make dua. So that's all we can do, right? So that's the Islamic way of Amar Ma'ruf Nahi Munkar. But I have a very soft spot or very focused area on youth, because I know they are the targets of tobacco industry. So we go to schools, we do programs under with NGOs and other board stakeholders. For example, here with the Malaysian Association of Adolescent Health, MPS, we support World No Tobacco Day. We support programs with students from various places. We seldom say no when it is organized or involve youth, so that because we know they are the targets of the tobacco industry and vape industry. So we need them to be educated, to be resilient. Yeah. Okay. So, and with generational endgame, we know they are going to be affected. So why it is actually beneficial for the youth to advocate and agree on generational endgame. Okay, so here's another example, and most recent that we got involved with the iMasjid program. So here we were invited to go, and we brought our students, and I think Dr. Hanida also brought students from nursing. So there were some interprofessional collaboration, definitely. Also from the Jabatan Kesihatan Negeri Pahang, thank you for allowing us to use the materials for exhibition and promotion. And we then help those who are smoking to get more information and direct them for quit smoking services. We still go to schools, we do programs, activities. We don't lecture much because we know they are more attracted to games and plays and activities rather than sitting and listen to us talking like this session. So mostly we do activities where they would then identify the effect of smoking or vaping on the body, or they would write a love letter to a smoker or vapor in their household or friends. So this X is saying no. So you can see some pictures of familiar faces, and this is my current master students who are Zahari, who's working on a module of level 3 for health professionals to provide smoking cessation. Okay, so we also do online. This is when I think during just after COVID, so we had to do it online. We also identify leaders among the youth so that they can continue. So MPOW done, now E, enforce ban on tobacco advertising, promotion and sponsorship. So Malaysia has actually banned most of the direct advertising. Yeah. So, but there's still room for improvement on prohibition of sale and product by promotion, especially at the behind of the cashiers. So you can see what the term called power wall when you go to places and shops, when you have to when you go to pay, behind the cashier would be the place where cigarettes are displayed. So that is their promotion and sponsorship advertising. So the direct ones are actually banned, but we see them anyway. So we need to keep reminding all people that they need to be free from interference, including under the Article 5.3 of the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. This is one of the great tobacco control advocates. She is actually a Malaysian, but now resides in Australia. She's actively involved in Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Alliance. So we got to hear from her regarding the Article 5.3, which deals with interference from the industry. Okay, so they interference in many ways. Okay, especially money. Okay, last but not least is the strategy on raising tax. So this one definitely is an area that Malaysia has not done particularly well, because our last budget increase of cigarette excise duty or tax was in 2015, and still low than the recommended percentage of about 65%. Okay, so currently Malaysian, this work is from team like Dr. Norashida and Dr. Wensi from UPM. So they showed that you need to keep increasing the retail price per pack until a certain point. That is because at this point it's a win-win measure, whereby the government will collect more money from tax. Of course, it's never enough to cover all the diseases caused by smoking in the first place, but it's just at least means that it would be less affordable to those without fixed income or those in low income. Okay, so because the adolescent and youth without income are supposedly price sensitive because they cannot buy, or because cigarettes are not supposed to be sold in loose sticks. One, and of course, illicit cigarette issue is a separate matter that has to be intervened effectively. So now around 17 ringgit per pack, the highest price. So it has to be increased to about 21 to 25 ringgit per pack. Just look at our neighbor down south, the price is 30 Singaporean dollars per pack. So that's what, about 100 ringgit, 90 plus. So I'm not a jack or a person who knows it all of the strategies, but I tend to get to know a little bit about each of the strategies. My focus has always been on offering help cessation, but as a tobacco control advocate, we need to be informed or knowledgeable a little bit about all the strategies, so that when people ask or we talk about it, we would be evidence-based. Okay, so we were lucky that our one of the strong tobacco control advocates upon retirement is Prof. Dr. Lokman Hakim, who's now IMU. So let's look overall in terms of Malaysian performance. Malaysia is under the WHO Western Pacific region, a summary of the Empower measures. So we do monitor, we do protect, but not comprehensive, because the minister can still gazette or approve any area to be smoking area. So this is like the veto power of the US against the ceasefire. So you have a minister with veto power. Okay, so offering help, okay, and warning, okay, enforcing tax ban, okay, tobacco advertising, promotion, sponsorship, and raising tax measures. So overall, we maybe have done fairly well, but not I would say the best as compared to some other countries. So there's still always room for improvement. So in the future, with the hopefully standalone Tobacco Control Act approved, then we have the tobacco endgame. The bill is passed, is gazetted hopefully, and then enforcement. Enforcement. Now, if you ask me, there are definitely issues with enforcement, but we need to become a society that's self-enforced. Yeah, we need to be a society that is developed. Right now, unfortunately, we don't have that mentality. We always rely on external enforcement. It's like, oh, if you know that there are no police around, you're going to run the red light or something like that. Okay, but it should, I mean, at 4 a.m. traffic light, nobody's around. Still, if it's red light, it's red light. Yeah, so it's like that. So it's instilled. Okay, so it's like taqwa. You don't have to wait for external enforcement. Is instilled. Okay, so we hope one day we can say to visitors and also locals alike, we are a smoke-free country. Okay, so we know the youth would want it because they know tobacco industry targeting them, and whether we achieve that in 2040, we may, inshallah, let's make dua, but at the same time, we have to ikhtiar. With the current removal of GEG, is going to be more tasking because there is no reduction, rapid reduction by ban of generation. So it will take time and more aggressive measures would be needed. Education, I believe, needs to continue, of course, but we need to be cognizant that Malaysian in general would require external enforcement. So in conclusion, I've given you some historical events of the control of tobacco in Malaysia, the current ones, and what I wish to see in the future. I also wish that tobacco products, including e-cigarettes, would be controlled under the Dangerous Drug Act. Okay, given the fact that nicotine is as known to be a highly psychoactive chemical. So if this becomes a reality, then it's like a total ban on tobacco product. It becomes a drug, an illicit drug. So it will go underground. So it's easier, I believe, to control rather than having it sold openly right now. Yeah? Even when you say you're going to have provisions to ban everything, but enforcement would still always be an issue. So I'd like to thank all of you for listening. I will thank my team, my family, of course. Alhamdulillah, of course, I've said earlier on. So thank to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me such strength, such passion to do this. And of course, colleagues from various universities, at least 2 universities that I've been at, USM and now at IUM. So I'm thankful to everybody, my collaborators, researchers, my students, my postgrad students, my current students, and of course my Sifu. I just visited him last weekend, so he just turned 70 and still a strong advocate. So I hope in future I'm granted the energy, the passion to continue with others and to teach others so that it will be a continuous opportunity to gain good deeds, inshallah. So thank you so much for listening. I hope it has been beneficial. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A big thank you to Professor Dr. Haji Haniki for sharing your expertise and insight with us. We hope that the grateful privilege to gain the latest insight for tobacco control in Malaysia with you, the expert, today. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, we will go into our question and answer session or Q&A session. So as I mentioned earlier, for those who have questions, please use the raise hand button function to ask a question to our guest. We'll call the name of the participant accordingly. Once your name has been called, please switch on your camera and microphone, introduce yourself, and you may ask the questions. As you have a very limited time, each participant is limited to only ask one question. However, you have more than one question, please use the raise hand button again to take a new turn. And this is to allow more participants able to communicate and engage with our speaker today. All right, I think prior to just going to use the raise hand button function, let's check. So we have question actually in the chat box. So maybe I can read on this, and maybe Prof. Haniki will able to comment on this. I think the first question comes from Suhana. So, Assalamualaikum. Is our campus a smoke-free campus? What is the action should be taken if we observe there is a person smoke in the campus?
Thank you for the question. Yes, as I mentioned, is one of the 23 gazetted areas of smoke-free areas. So by right, once a person steps in on campus, is no smoking anywhere. But we know we have our internal how do I say, regulations. So for now, for the students, it's under disciplinary. Yeah, under disciplinary, whereby they can be compounded, I think 50 ringgit, if I'm not mistaken, that they have to settle at OSAM and finance lah. But for staff, it's not. But anyway, in order to compound, you got to have the authority, the punca kuasa. So it has to come from the Ministry of Health, and they have to be trained. Because I remember when we were first, we wanted to compound students and staff at the USM at the time. We had to send a letter requesting this from the Ministry of Health, and they had to come and train us, and then only we were given the authority to compound. So they give us a book, and then there's a compound book, and you can compound smokers on campus. In IIUM, I think for staff, they use the soft landing approach. They would advise the person to come to the quit smoking clinic to register, and also help. They do not compound them straightforwardly. So I think that's very Islamic, and of course I'm appreciative of that. We want to help them first. So we welcome any smokers on campus to join our quit smoking clinic. For outsiders like contractors and whatnot, that's why when I said we have a tobacco control smoke-free campus policy, we want the authorities, the relevant authorities, for example, the sports division, when they rent out venues for outsiders, include in their terms and condition, this is a no smoking campus. So, so at least they have been warned. I don't think they will give any compounds as well, for the reasons that I've mentioned earlier. So I hope this helps.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Haniki. I think that some of us might observe, because I think our campus also have a hospital inside the campus, and then sometimes maybe our contractors working might also observe regarding this matter. So I think at current practice in IUM, for those to observe, you can advise the public members coming into campus like, actually we can't smoke in this campus. I think that's the current practice, right, Prof?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then go and register at the quit smoking clinic, both here and also at SASMAC. They also have it.
All right. Okay, thank you. So I think we have a second question. I think look into this. So the second question has come from Mahani Mansoor. So the question is what can we do when we see a group of policemen or maybe any enforcement officers smoking in a restaurant that we are eating in?
Okay, I know this is a member of my tennis group, Madam Mahani. Thank you for the question. I mentioned briefly that the Ministry of Health has a number. So maybe I can type it here, 010 860, okay, 8949. Okay, so when you save this number to your handphone and put it as a aduan or lapo apa tu for to KKM. So 010-860-8949. So and you even policemen, if you see them smoking in forbidden places, I mean, nowadays everybody is using a handphone with camera. You can just snap a photo. You can snap a video if you want, and then do it discreetly, because just like you taking a selfie or whatnot. Then you can upload or send it to this number. As I said, the more we report, the higher the chances that that place will be considered as hotspots. So then enforcement officers, these are people with authority. They have the punca kuasa. They would then stop the place, and then because people tend to go to the same place, right? If you like a certain place, you tend to go again and again. It's like when we go to Dr. Izzat's place for desserts and whatnot. So we keep going back. So it's like that. So it may happen. We hope that when the enforcement people go, they will catch the culprits, even if they are policemen.
All right, thank you, Prof. So just repeat the numbers. I think Prof already put it in the chat box. So, but for those who online on the YouTube channel, so for those who observe any public members smoking, that's include our enforcement officers, policemen, whoever it is that smoke at the forbidden area, you may use this number 010-860-8949, and you make your report to the Ministry of Health of the action. I think there also you can take photos and so on. This is not just limited to smoking, but also inclusive the vaping as well, so the e-cigarettes. So if you observe this, you can use this number and make a report immediately. Because I think we saw a few cases happen on social media when I think one of the case, a young man kind of like advised this senior member smoking or vaping in one of the restaurant, and then he been hit back by that senior member because just asking to stop smoking. I think that this happened earlier this year, if not mistaken, and it's quite viral in all social media about this matter. So I think the best way of this to avoid this kind of like harm situation, immediately take a photos as a record, call this number and make a report immediately. Okay, so the question from Prof. Jamal. There are two questions. He put it on the chat box. So the first question is, we go one by one. The first question is, while some states issued a fatwa of smoking as haram, not all states did. This means that even at this issue, the perception that smoking is not that hazardous enough. Maybe even now the Islamic scholars are not convinced on issuing fatwa on this matter. So what's your comment on this?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jamal. Actually, the fatwa comes in the form of from the National Muzakarah Council, the National Fatwa Council. So it's up to the state to gazette it. So you have a national fatwa on many things, including cigarettes and vape. So cigarette has been gazetted, has been decreed, haram in 1995, for the vape in 2015 by the National Muzakarah. So up to the state. So to my knowledge, only few states gazetted. So when they have gazetted the national fatwa, it becomes under the Islamic jurisprudence or law. However, they don't have any teeth because no enforcement officers are given authority to compound or to penalize anything. So it's just like a spiritual fatwa. So it's supposed to be saying that yes, There's a national fatwa, the national fatwa in Malaysia, looking at evidence from various sources, concluded that both smoking and vaping are considered as haram. So that's clear. But the state level wise, the majority of the states in Malaysia, I'm not sure about Pahang, Prof. Jamal, but I think it's not yet. Even the Serambi Mekah, Kelantan has not gazetted fatwa on smoking and vaping as haram. Many reasons. When I asked, they said, then what are we going to do with the mufti and imam who are smokers? I said, it doesn't do anything. I mean, it's not going to strip them off their position. It's just something that you consider spiritually to help you, motivate you to give it up. But they I mean, the states which have gazetted the fatwa can then have their own laws and regulations, right? For example, if Selangor, I think Selangor is one of the states that have gazetted this fatwa, want to separate cigarettes from being sold in openly in shops, and then to put it under non-halal section or non-halal shops only. It's up to them. They can do it, but they have to produce the bylaws, because religious affairs is under state for those states with sultans. For those states without, they can go federal. But federal, as I said, has no teeth. There's no how do I say, punishment on flaunting this. Yeah, you have people who can be punished for smoking during Ramadan daytime for Muslims, but if they smoke other time, no, nothing. But if they smoke in forbidden places, yes, that's under the regulations and now becoming the law. So whether in IUM Islamic scholars are not convinced issuing fatwa on this matter, actually fatwa is already issued. So whether to gazette it and implement it, that's the issue. So we don't have any issues whether it's makruh or haram anymore. So it's just a matter of gazettement.
So it means that at the current situation, in terms of the religious point of view, it's just a spiritual haram for the Muslim to smoke both the tobacco and also the e-cigarettes. But in terms of enforcement at present, for the federal states, only if they are smoking in the forbidden places. But for the religious office under the state, has no such as enforcement yet.
They have no power.
So there's not been given authority yet.
Yes,
Can I
Roger.
just Nikki? But we look at the world view with regard to smoking itself. If you show a television, even in Gaza at the moment, you can see that the Muslims there even smoke as well. So when we talk about smoking, we want people to stop smoking. The perception among the Muslims is something that is very difficult for us to change this perception. That this is dangerous, something actually, if we believe it's dangerous, regardless whether it's haram or halal, we will avoid it. So this mentality is something I'm not sure how can we go forward with this kind, because it reflects when the GEG, some of my colleagues in public health, reluctant to go in televisions to go against the decision to remove GEG from the bill. For example, when I want to make that statement, they say, why don't we, can we omit that part? We just okay first. So they say that, I asked why, they say that the public itself is not ready for such thing. So I believe the struggle towards smoking is something, I'm not sure, very, very tough because this is involved lifestyle. That's the way I see it. I'm not sure how we can move forward with that.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jamal. I think it ties with your second question, isn't it? The perception. There was a survey actually done by a public health group isn't it? The Malaysian, the one under Dr. Afiq at PPUM. So they did an online survey and then they presented it to the Prime Minister. And they collected, I believe, almost 9 million supporters for GEG. But the Ministry of Health sort of skeptical about this number and support. So they launched another survey through My Sejahtera. They wanted people to then say, you want GEG or not? So that survey was never disclosed. So I do not know how many people supported. And but anyway, it was just maybe avenue to see whether people are supporting. So I guess many people still supporting GEG, so that's why it was not disclosed. So I don't know. But anyway, it was carved out. The carving out is not because of no public support. We know public supporting when many events, well, we talk about it, we went on many platforms, we know people are supporting GEG. Now, reluctant to come out and say we need the GEG, I think maybe there are personal issues or professional issues. I don't know. I cannot speak on behalf of those people. But if you ask me, yes, we need the GEG because I've been saying we have done projection. We've seen that if you want to reduce prevalence, you need to stop smoking in a generation. If you don't have any drastic measures, it will be status quo. It will be very slow decline. We have seen countries that have done it, and they are not even Muslim countries. Countries like Singapore, prevalence going down significantly. In New Zealand, in Australia, these are non-Muslim countries. They don't have fatwa, obviously, but they implement drastic measures. Drastic measures, for example, pricing strategy. Cigarette prices are very high, as I said, in these countries. Their enforcement, you don't see people policing everywhere, but they have this mentality to denormalize smoking and vaping. That's why we have this very big issue with vaping, because it renormalizes smoking. So when you renormalize something that looks like action of smoking, then the whole culture of being smoke-free is hampered. So if you ask me if without GEG can we achieve, I say almost no. If we don't have GEG, can we reach 2040, 2025? And really out of the window already, we cannot achieve less than 15%, yeah, in 1 year's time. But to achieve less than 5% in 2040, I don't believe educational is going to work. I'm sorry, I'm very pessimistic. We have done many educational strategies from small children in kindergarten to primary school, secondary school, and continue on. We have been able to maybe delay or allay significant increase only, not to significantly reduce. Of course, there are many other issues under the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, we know political will is very little in banning such products. It's always finance, business, money wins over health. So on that sense, it has to be from us, Prof. Jamal. The public has to voice out rather than leaving our future generations health issues, particularly to the politicians and policymakers, since they seem to be harping on the economic benefits, although it is disputed already. You don't make money from tobacco, you lose money. So since they don't want to listen to us, we have to voice out and correct the wrong. As I've said, we do it with our hands, with our mouth. If we cannot do both, as like your friends, you mentioned, then can you speak out? They said no. Then you make dua in your make dua that things will change for the better, that they will change, because if we do not, I mean, you've seen our rector Tan Sri Professor Emeritus Zulkifli. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't hold back at all. He would write, he would say what are the wrong things that had been done by anybody. It doesn't matter, current government, past government. If it's not right, he will say it. So I think we need more, but to have somebody who's in that position is very difficult. But if you have it, so Alhamdulillah. So we need more. So I don't think I have that kind of bravery yet. My criticisms always been a little bit spicy, but not that level. But anyway, we can do what we have the knowledge on, and we share with the people, because it has to be from bottom up. I don't see it any other way. If we wait it to be top down, it will never happen, because they introduced one thing, they wanted GEG, but it was sabotage. I believe the sabotage is clearly from the tobacco industry. That's very obvious, because the same thing happened to the New Zealand government. So unless you safeguard the policymakers from interference of the tobacco and vape industry under the Article 5.3 that I mentioned, then forever you're going to have this interference from tobacco industry. Can you imagine that they were demanding for things to be consulted with them, for the regulations, for the act, to have them consulted? It's like you're going you're going to war against an enemy, and you want to consult your enemy regarding the strategies that you're going to implement. Doesn't make sense. But this is how brave they are, and they are suing the government and blah blah blah. They're putting pressure. So yeah, it's not an easy task, but we all have to do it, because on one hand you are treating so many diseases that caused by cigarettes and vape, but if you don't kill the vector, the disease will forever be going on.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Haniki, for such a very detailed explanation. Yeah, I think that's we as the public, because we are the public people, because we are not part of the parliament members. So rather than we wait from the parliament make an act, because we know it has been sabotaged for the GE to make it realistic. So I think we as the public members should make our own action. Start, it might be small, but from the small steps that become bigger with coming. So it's our responsibility to really ensure that these tobacco issues, both from cigarettes or e-cigarettes, will be resolved soon for the best of our future generation, inshallah. So I think
it's like the boycott, is that? Yeah.
Yes,
it's like
the boycott. We should boycott.
Yeah, we say how can one person have an impact on Zionism by boycotting the product? It's one person. It has to start with that one. So you boycott the product. Here is tobacco and vape.
Yeah, that's true. So I think that's if we can start our boycotting for the issue of Palestine, I think we can also do the same thing for the tobacco issues as well. So I think that's marked the end of the Q&A session. Unfortunately, I couldn't take any more questions as we have a very limited time. So for those who want to have more engagement with Prof. Haniki, so you may also engage with him on his social media. He's very active on social media, both Facebook and Instagram, both on the tobacco issues and also his favorite cats as well, I believe. And also you may also email him. I think you can find his email officially on our IM website to have furthermore of the issues on the tobacco control in Malaysia. So before we end our professorial talk, on behalf of the committee, we'd like to give a huge appreciation to Professor Haji Muhammad Haniki for such inspiring and eye-opening talk just now. I believe not just me personally, but I believe all the audience that are attending in Zoom and also on YouTube channel benefit from this sharing today. So ladies and gentlemen, before we end this event, it will not be completed without having a must-do Zoom style photography session. I think we got used to this since the start of MCO. So with everyone here, so here I would like to call all our guests, ladies and gentlemen, to switch on your camera, give the best pose and smile to your camera, so that we can have a nice photo group session. So here, may I ask assistant from the committee member to handle the photography session? So may I ask committee members to assist on this? Just wait for a moment. I think our committee members is assisting right now for the photography session. Okay, we're waiting our committee to assist on the photography session. So hopefully everyone will switch on the camera. Let's see. May I ask everyone to switch on the camera if possible? Give time for this to have the best post ever for your. Okay, give one more minute for everyone to switch on the camera. Okay, let's see. Is everyone still switching on? Okay. Right. 30 more seconds. Give more time. Okay, so if everyone is ready, so okay, can we mark it 1, 2, 3. Okay, we go one more. Okay, another one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Then okay, 1, 2. All right. Okay, last one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, just a bit more because we have quite a few pages. I'm not sure who will be on the pages, so please keep smiling, you guys. Okay. All right, I think that's end of the photography session. So thank you very much, everyone, for your best smile ever. So with that, the IIUM Professorial Talk 2023 is officially end. On behalf of the committee members, we would like to present appreciation to all guests for attending this event, both from IIUM committee, also for the public members, and apologize for any hiccups throughout our event today. And I'm Zed Sufyan. I'm officially signing off, and we shall see you everyone again in the next IUM Professorial Talk 2024. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and sayonara.